leveled up.
Yeah, it's worth the fucking $27 I pay a month or whatever it is.
I mean, it's not bad. This is a pretty professional looking platform,
Looks
and it
legit.
looks. I'm not a technically savvy person, but it looks relatively easy to use for what it is.
Yeah, you're better at it than I am. I seen your social media game. Actually, it's really good. Like you stuff that you put together.
I'll be honest with you. A lot of that stuff. I know. You ever see the Circle of Drift podcast?
Yeah.
Dawson does a lot of my reels
Oh, does he?
and stuff. Yeah,
Ah, yeah. That guy's fucking really good at it.
he
Yeah, I
is
love
good
the way
at
he
it.
clips everything together.
He does. Yeah. So we do
I
like
might have to
YouTube
hit him up.
videos. We do like a vlog, and then he'll like. He's pretty smart with it. We'll do the vlog, and then we'll like just cut reels out of the vlog.
Uh huh.
It makes it a little bit
Yeah.
more efficient, I think.
Okay, that's that. Like this thing, what it'll do is you can like clip. If I think something's funny, I can just hit like a little button that says clip, and it'll clip it. Obviously, you gotta like edit it and fine tune it, but at least you know like you have a marker of where it's gonna be at. I don't have
Yeah,
to
no,
like
that's
dig
helpful.
through like 2 hours of an episode or something.
Yeah,
It even has it where like you can hit like hot clips, and it'll just give you like 10 random clips. See if you can like make them work or something. Which
that's
is
pretty
kind of
cool.
helpful too. Yeah, it's pretty neat. It works. Does the job. But yeah, he does. He does. Their social media is probably how they grew so well. Like the way he clipped things, like especially in the beginning with like controversial comments the co-host was
Yeah,
making at the time.
he did really good with it.
It
And then
worked well.
the podcast. I don't know. I mean, I assume we can talk about other podcasts on this podcast, but
Yeah. It
the
is.
yeah is the setup that he has in there. It's in his house, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
it's like looks super professional. You
Yeah.
know, it's like a room in his house, but he
Mm.
did a really good job of making it look super legit, like right off the bat.
Uh-huh.
So I think that probably like helped a lot too.
Absolutely. No, that
Yeah,
makes
you
sense.
gotta look at it and you're like, wait, why haven't I seen this? It looks like this has been happening for a
No, I
while. But
watched. No,
in
I listened to
reality,
that
it hasn't.
podcast.
Yeah.
I I don't care. I know like some people kind of care about stuff like that, where they're like, "Oh, we're not going to talk about other people's podcasts." Like for instance, never once have I ever mentioned my podcast in the Maximum Driftcast Facebook group. Like I won't talk about it.
Dude, I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, what's it been like 3 years since I did
I
the
know,
podcast?
huh? At this point, they should be fucking grateful. No, I'm just
Jump
kidding.
in there.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I've never mentioned it. And people have asked me; they'll ask me like a question directing about the podcast in the group, and I'll message them, um, like a response of some sort. I don't know. I just haven't. Maybe I should now. Well, I'm not gonna go make a whole fucking post about it, but
Yeah, I
I said that
think
on this episode.
the more drift podcasts, the better. Right? I'm a big podcast person because
Yeah.
I often wouldn't have time to like watch TV, but I would drive a lot.
Hmm.
So that was like my entertainment was
Yeah, that makes
podcast.
sense.
And for a long time, like Maximum Driftcast was maybe not it, but it was like there just wasn't much out. They're like one of the early drift podcasts, right?
Hmm.
I feel like they got kind of established, and then all of a sudden they just disappeared. And
Yeah,
they
they all.
created this
I think
vacuum.
like all of their careers took
Name.
off because of the podcast.
Yeah, but then it like kind of like
And they left it alone. Yeah,
left this like fertile soil for more drifting podcasts to come in, which
exactly.
is
I
a good
know.
thing. Variety.
Drift. We need to get Maximum Driftcast back too. I miss that fucking shit show. But let's get back into you for a minute, man. For people who don't know you, if you want to go ahead and tell us who you are, what you drive, and where you drive it.
My name's Andy May. I drive a E36 with just a turbo M50, so BMW motor, and I drive it all over the place. I live in an RV, like a toy hauler, and we just travel around and all over the country and go to different drift events and competitions and stuff like that. So we're kind of like all over the East Coast and West Coast and just kind of everywhere depending on how the schedule goes.
Yeah. And then you work basically remote, right? That's how you.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a pool service
Oh
business
shit!
in
Really? Okay.
Atlanta. So I
That's right.
live in
Okay, I
Atlanta.
do remember that. So you
Yeah,
just
I
mostly
think
do
I
the
was trying to think
managing now,
last
right?
time me and you talked, and that's a lot has happened since then. It
I
feels
bet.
like forever ago, but it really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't.
But yeah, so anyway, I don't necessarily physically need to be there that
Mhm.
much, and my wife does a lot with the like the billing and schedules and all that kind of stuff, and she's kind of like taking more on now. But anyway, we physically don't need to be there that much. And
Gotcha.
every now and then, maybe a handful of times over the past year and a half, I've been like, "Crap, I guess I'm getting on a plane tomorrow, flying to Atlanta and fixing some pools." But that's a small price to pay. It's not too bad.
No, no, not at all. Especially when you get to live your best life with the wife and kids on the road. So I ain't
Yeah,
mad at you.
yeah.
Uh, hey, sweet man. What has changed since we last spoke? I think the last time we did spoke, your car was getting worked on by Sam, right?
Uh, was that it? Maybe.
I
Yeah,
think you
I
were in
thought it was before
California, or
that.
maybe that's just last time we kind of
No,
chit
I think
chat a
that's the
little
last
bit.
time like me and you talked. Last time it was a podcast. It was I was still on the East Coast. Were a couple months in, and I had the E36 sedan. I uh, crashed that into a wall in New Hampshire,
Hmm.
and then got another chassis off of a guy that I was driving with up there, Orion. And anyway, moved the stuff over, just like my angle and suspension, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I think I was heading to like one of my first events with that car. So since then, yeah, we just did some events everywhere from like Riverside, which was it was their first 50K, I think
Hmm.
we went to, and I just went with like a stock motor S52, like I don't know, 220 horsepower or something, because I'm just like, I'm here for the experience, guys.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And that was fun. And then we headed out west and went to uh, Colorado, did a drift event in Colorado. Then drove up. Next drift event was in Seattle, but we did a bunch of national parks too with the family. Went to like Glacier National Park, Yellowstone,
Hmm.
uh, Grand Teton, all that stuff out there. And then California. I'm giving you the cliff notes. You want more detail? We're gonna dive into more of it. But
No, no, no. But this is you guys have been like traveling and stuff like that, though, right?
yeah, a
That's kind of
lot.
like.
Yeah. So now the car has. So from that, I just got that car. It had stock SU2 in it, and then it evolved into. I got hooked up with Sam,
Hmm.
412 Motorsports through Taka, because I was doing like some of the school stuff with Taka,
Hmm.
and so anyway, he got me good at that. So then he put a built motor in the car, made about 500 wheel or so, drove that a lot, and beat it pretty hard. And now I'm switching to another chassis.
Oh,
It's kind of the cliff notes of where we are now, with a lot more
gotcha.
in between. Yeah,
Are you gonna say which chassis it is, or you guys you're
it's just
still?
another E36.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, it's
Why are
on
you
my
switching
Instagram,
chassis again?
dude. Bro, so
I know you've wrecked it a few times. I've seen.
I have wrecked it a few times. So this one it's pretty beat, and honestly, it's a little bit more beat than I realized it was when I
Mm,
got it, and it has a bit more rust. If for like a Northeast car, it doesn't have that much rust, but for like me, a Georgia guy, or for like like you, a California guy, like it's a lot of rust.
gotcha.
You get a car in like New Hampshire or whatever, they're like, no, it's only got like 5 holes in the floorboard. It's fine. Um, and anyway, dude, I crashed it pretty hard back here in Georgia at a pro-am event.
Mm,
Just being a dummy, it has like it's like this big bank track,
mm,
and it was like they kind of recreated like an Irwindale setup, right? To initiate, like run the wall up on the bank, come down, do the Irwindale thing, and so I was back in Georgia, so I kind of always get sucked back into work, right? Anytime I get close to it. So beginning of the pro-am event, I looked out there at the course, and I was like, all right, it's fairly simple. I feel like I got this. And something happened at work, so I had to go to work. So I didn't do any practice at all. So I went to work
mm,
in the morning while during practice, so everybody's practicing. And I
yeah.
came back. I think I did like one lap, and then I got set up, and I was going to go. It was just kind of like awkward spacing for me in my gearing. Like I
Mm,
needed fourth gear on the bank, and what if I had like an extra 50 feet, I could have like got to fourth. So you get two qualifying runs, right? My first qualifying was okay, but I initiated too late because I initiated when I was in boost and fourth. So I'm like, all
mm,
right, well. I'll just go in third. So I look to my buddy slash mechanic Trey. And I'm like, bro, whatever. I'm just gonna like ride the rev limiter on the bank and just do that. Get ready to fix something. Which now look back on it was a stupid thing to say. I meant sometimes when you sit on the rev limiter too long, like the oil line on the turbo works itself a little loose. But what happens, I just went up and I initiated and I did like left no margin for error. I was as close to the wall as I could get, and I just like ran out of gear on the bank. The car just like I started to feel it kind of straighten out. You know what I mean? You get that feeling where your wheel speed is starting to meet your actual vehicle speed, and it's like doing this. It's like crap. So I like clutched in, and like tried to handbrake to bring the back end around a little bit more. Just didn't do it, and I went like front, like driver front corner into the wall at probably 70 miles an hour, and it moved the shock tower over like 6 inches, like crushed that intake pipe. Kind of broke off all the suspension stuff and sent it in towards me. And if I didn't have anti-intrusion bars, like it would definitely broke my leg.
Oh shit!
And,
Really?
yeah, dude, I sent a picture to the guy who built the cage, Norway Nils, up in where is he? He's in Connecticut, I think. Because it was like you can see where the anti-intrusion bar was, and it was just on the outside of the car, like everything was just folded in around it. It just looked like a fist sticking out in the metal.
If I'm not mistaken, that anti-intrusion bar is there because of Taka.
I think so. Yeah, because he went in Seattle, I think, and broke
he
his
broke his
leg.
foot.
Pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah, dude. So that happened, and then it was just Jax. It was, and then the way the Pro-Am works here is East 10. So they did. It's 4 rounds, but 2 weekends, right? So
Gotcha.
Saturdays around, Sundays around. So I'm already like zeroed both days because they're right next to each other, and I couldn't get the fucking car fixed. But anyway, I went, got it pulled back out, and front tubed, and then did like did a grid life, a gambler at E-Town, just a few events. The car never seemed quite right, and I went to so E-Town has a road course and they got the figure eight, right, like the FD course. So I did a Riverside at it was at E-Town, just a figure eight, and I just like had a minor crash, broke a wheel with just getting too close to somebody, and they kind of straightened when I didn't expect them to. So broke a wheel, wasn't that big of a deal, and so I get the car fixed and go back out, and go around. This is my qualifying run, right? It's the last chance of qualifying. I missed my first one fixing the car. Thankfully, Andy Haley had some spare parts and stuff, and I got them off of him and got the car going thanks to him.
Nice.
And I'm coming around, and I was like, all right, I'm about to do like a pretty good qualifying score, and I go into the last outer zone, so you kind of transition back and transition, go to throttle, and there's just nothing there, nothing happened. So I just was back into the wall. It's like E-Town's at least you're not super fast, but it's just a brutal place because it's just walls everywhere. If you're a little bit off, you're just eating. So I did the same thing, moved the shock tower right back to where it was, and probably because it had already been moved, it wasn't nearly as big of a hit as the first time, and it was like a real testament to drifting as a sport because there were so many people around helping get me pull it back out.
Yeah.
I was there and I was like, man, crap, how do I get this thing pulled back out and like not tear anything? That was my worry. It's already moved. You can see everything's kind of crumpling around the shock tower. I really don't want to tear it. And Rome was there, and somebody was like, oh, Rome moved his shock tower here. We ask him how he did it. I'm like, okie doke. So I go over there and I'm like, yo, dude, how'd you pull this out? He's like, I didn't. Look at my shock tower. It's still like over here. I'm like, oh, great. So anyway, you whatever looked at it. There was just, dude, it was like, it started off with like 5 people trying to kind of help me pull this thing out. First with like Beecham's little golf cart thing, and that wasn't quite enough. So we only got like a truck, tried to pull that out, and all this kind of stuff up to like, it was just like the whole village just jumped in, and there's like 30 people around the car. At this point, it's completely out of my hands. Whatever happens to the car happens to the car.
Everybody has their own idea.
Part of the process anymore because it's just we're like 10 layers into people like walking by me like, well, what if we'll try this, and it just kind of turns this whole thing. But dude, yeah, man. So I mean, a lot of those guys like were with me till like 1 o'clock in the morning, getting it pulled out, straightened out, and all that. And it was so after that event, I was like, man, I should really probably get another chassis because this one has just really
Toast.
been through it, and I'm not sure it's really worth putting more money in it.
Hmm.
But the driveline stuff is good. The motor's great. The all that kind of stuff was fine. So Nick Novak had mentioned that he had an extra chassis that he never used. It was going to be a Pro Cars, an E36, but then whatever happened with Cobra Works and everything. So he had that car. So he had mentioned to me, and he was there at that event. He actually won that event. And after the event, I was like, dude, you still got that chassis? I might need to come grab that thing because we live close to each other,
Oh, okay.
relatively close to each other. So he's like, yeah. So, so anyway, it's just crap like that. And it's just so beat up. And I didn't want to keep putting anything into it. And he had that car there and it was a decent deal on it. So I went and got that from him. So moving everything over to it now and
And
doing
is
some
it cage and
upgrades.
everything, or
Yeah, it has a really nice cage in it.
sweet?
Yeah, it was fully stripped, like all the we got like all the the sound insulation stuff that's real pain to get out. All that's out,
Yeah.
completely stripped out with a really nice cage in it, and that's pretty much it. So, and I'm getting a lot of stuff from Sam. He's helping me out with some of the stuff just off of his old car, getting some
Hmm.
parts off of his E36 because he's
Nice.
upgrading it. Um, for a pro spec car, but anyway, so I'm just kind of waiting on some stuff to come in now and put in. And it went from I'm just going to move all the driveline stuff over to now like the quick change subframe stuff is getting built.
That's how it goes, man.
Sam had a E46 M3 transmission in it, so I bought the transmission off of his old car and put in. So now we can like crank that turbo and engine up to what it can do. So it'll be like 680 wheel instead of 500. So it's just snowball. It's a huge case of while you're in there, you know.
Yeah, it's which is probably the worst thing you can do with a project that you want to run
Yeah, yeah,
soon.
yeah, yeah. It's
That's
hard to find that balance. I've talked to so many people. I feel like everybody's in the same boat when you're building a car, especially if you want it to like a competitive car,
yeah,
right? It's like, well, you're always trying to find that balance of, well, pay once, cry once. I want to put something in and not have to do it again and finish it. And also, what you don't really need all of it, do you?
no,
It's like finding what are those things of this is actually helpful. I should go ahead and spend the money on it, not have to worry about it anymore. And this is not necessary.
yeah. See, well, mine
Right.
didn't end up with a quick change idea, but the other day I was looking for brakes because I have the 335, so it has the super massive brakes on it that I don't want those. I don't need 13-inch rotors.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about going down to a 12-inch rotor, and then I was gonna go with Willwoods. I did want Willwoods, but then it went from like $300 to like $1,500 by the time I was putting everything together. I was like,
Just
we're
because you
using
feel like
stock
the brakes are
brakes.
too
We're using stock brakes.
big.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'll do this next year. Because I want the car to be running soon because it's almost done at Big Duck Club.
Mhm.
Um, so I was like,
That looks awesome, by the way. I saw
the
that
new kit,
that
it does
rendering
look
they
good.
did,
Yeah,
that you put up. That looks awesome.
yeah. Uh, RJ did all that, so thank you, RJ. Um, yeah, so I was like, I'm just gonna avoid that. The only thing I know I need for sure is brake lines right now, but I kept every single thing from the other car. Kept the
Okay.
fuel lines, the radiator lines that go to the back, everything. I just have to do all the fab work for that, but I bought a cage kit, so we'll see how that goes.
That'd
So
be cool.
hope,
I've never used one of those. I've seen a few of them though, and I only hear that they fit fantastic.
yeah, that's what I heard too. I did like that they weld to the A pillar, and there's no gussets because I'm not like a huge fan of gussets. I don't dislike them.
Mm.
I had a really bad experience in my last car with them. I couldn't see like 6 inches from the A pillar to the
Those are
finish of the cage. Yeah, it was terrible.
those are some serious gussets on the cage on the car that I'm now not going to use anymore. He was putting the cage in. He did it really fast. He did it in like 3 days, and he just goes like right along the A pillar, right? Just makes it nice and tight. I was like, dude, can you put gussets in it? And he was like, why do you want gussets? I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just think they look cool.
They do. They do look cool. Yeah, yeah,
So I don't even know why you need them. I was like, I just want. He's like, no, I can do some gussets. You want to do some gussets? I was like, please do.
yeah.
Yeah, new car doesn't have gussets. Old car has gussets, and they
Yeah.
do look cool. They do look
I
cool.
do I do kind of like the street look, so I do like if you look at it dead on, you couldn't tell that there was a cage in it. I kind of like that. There's
Yeah,
also that like cleanliness too that looks really good, but the gussets do look sick.
yeah.
Especially like doesn't Forrest have like stars on his or some shit like that?
I don't know, but I would not put it past him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd
Uh,
be cool.
what's
Yeah, I
all
think.
then? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I was just gonna say I think I've become more of a fan of either. I think they mentioned on like Lone Star Drift where you either have no more in the middle cars for me. I either have a street car, like as a drift car, I'll put some angle or whatever, weld the diff, and it's just like a stock car besides that, or
Mhm.
like full race car.
Yeah.
It's like one or the other. Do one of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
right out the middle. So anyway, that's my goal. I'm probably not going to do it because it's too easy to roll a street car up into like a middle car. But I'm
Yeah,
going to tell myself
exactly.
that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I may as well get a cage because not every track is gonna let me drive without one.
Yeah,
And then you're like, oh, while I'm doing the cage, I may as well gut the whole interior and not even put back seats in it. And then just
yeah. Dude, it's a pain
fucking,
to put an interior back in a car that you had to take it out of to have a cage put in.
I know, but I wouldn't want to do it. Like having to cut all around that.
Yeah,
It
that's a
seems
lot of
so
work.
tedious.
Yeah,
I'd give up. I'd be
I
like,
say
fuck
I
it,
want
it's
it,
gonna stay
but
like this.
yeah, I say I want it, but if you put me in the position where I have to do all that, I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? Fine, we're just gonna leave it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're getting the rear quick change set up. Are you
Yep.
doing the rear Wisefab too?
It's been Wisefab.
In the rear?
Also a hand me down from Sam.
Even the trailing arms and stuff?
Yeah,
J-
yeah, it's true
Look at
coilover
you,
in the back.
fancy. All right.
Yeah,
What suspension are you running?
it's Feel 441s.
Sweet.
Feel
Have you seen their
441s,
Have you
and
seen their 441.5 kit?
yeah, just with the Swift springs.
No, no, no. It's the single adjustable front and then dual adjustable rear,
Uh,
or two-way adjustable. Sorry.
no, I don't think the backs are two way.
No, I'm
Mine are
saying
probably 4 or 5 years old. Oh, upgrading it?
no. Just like the new. It's a new thing they offer where they'll
Oh
just
no,
do
I
like
haven't.
the rear for you.
No, I need to stay off those websites. I'm already, I'm already, I'm
You're like,
already
I'm fucking
out of
spending
control.
enough. Don't.
Yeah, I'm already out of control over here.
The winner's quick. I know. Those. I want one so bad, but I heard it's like way better to go with like the winners than to do like a dog box upgrade first. Like if you're gonna pick and choose the winners. As
That's
opposed
what I went with. That was just like my personal opinion because I was like, I feel like changing gears real fast isn't that big of a deal in drifting. I mean, the amount of time that it takes me with a good aftermarket shifter on a normal transmission shift, I don't think is going to be the make it or break it for a dog box. And as long as like strength, the dog box is a lot lighter, which is nice. But dude, they're so expensive.
yeah.
What, 8,500 bucks, 10 grand, really. But once you get the bell housing and all that kind of stuff, and the Winter's is actually a good bit cheaper than that, and I feel like it's more
Really?
usable. Yeah, yeah, it was. They're hard to get, right? So a Winter's is really hard to find. I got lucky and I bought a used one off of somebody.
That's fucking almost impossible to find. Is a used
Yeah,
one.
an older one too, from the old factory where they didn't blow up. So that's ideal. But yeah, people do the bulldogs and stuff too. I've heard really good things about those. But yeah, they're 4,800 bucks, I think, plus a subframe, and then there's options for that. I got the FDF sells a kit where you
Oh
basically
really?
cut up the stock subframe
Oh
and
shit. Sweet.
and do that. So we're working on that now. So that's a lot cheaper.
I know. I was looking at those too. I seen that HGK has one for like $1,200, the whole subframe. I just don't know if you have to like send yours back, and then shipping it here is probably fucking like
That's
five
crazy.
six hundred
Yeah, I mean, you
bucks.
could do just Sicky or like Rise Fab is in Tennessee, I think. Sicky's on
Rise
the East
Fab? What the
Coast.
fuck
Yeah,
is that?
RISE. Yeah,
Never
Rise
heard of
Fab.
it.
Um, they do them for a lot of BMWs. I don't know if they would do one for yours. But anyway, they're all like 12, 1300 bucks for the subframe. We just do the sticky, and that's not going to come from overseas. I've
Yeah.
heard not great things about the HGK one, but I'm not sure. I have nothing to back that up, so I don't know. But I don't know. We'll see how it gets in there. So I mean, but the FTF kit was like $300,
That's not bad at all then.
and then somebody welded it. But
I'm kind of surprised that they don't make more stuff for it, considering it's probably next in line to be the next cheap chassis.
yeah,
Since I only paid $1,000 for my car.
well, that seems like that's pretty good. Was it running?
No,
No,
some guy
yeah.
already pulled the motor and trans too. So I was like, good. I don't want to deal with that. I wish he
Yeah.
would have gutted it. If he would have gutted it, I would have paid more. To be honest,
Yeah,
because now
no,
I have to
that's
like
a lot of
get.
work.
You got to get rid of all that shit. Like my buddy Andrew, he drives the E46 over here, Atala.
Mhm.
This motherfucker, he's like, I would pay $500 more or $500 less for I wouldn't be willing to pay $500 more for a car that's completely gutted to save $500. I'm like, yeah, but look how much time that's gonna take you. He's like, nope, not doing it. He's fucking like cheap though.
Yeah,
Probably the first one to tell you. He's like, I'm
yeah,
not
no, it's
spending
different.
money on it.
People, different strokes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People think of it differently, but no, dude. I mean, that's a lot of time.
Yeah. Says, how? If you don't mind me asking, did you get that car pretty cheap, the new one?
The car, I got it. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say I got like a smoking deal on it, but it saved me. It probably cost me a little bit less than it would have been to find a nice straight chassis with no rust on it and have a cage put in it, and saved me a ton of time. Like
Exactly.
you said, it's
It's worth it.
completely stripped. Everything's out of it, ready to rock. I just painted the inside
Mm-hmm.
and kind of ready to go. And it's a very nice chassis.
Mm-hmm.
So it certainly wasn't $1,000, but it was cheaper than it would have been to do it myself, and it saved me a ton of time. So I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How far along is that project, anyways?
Oof, that's a really good question. Not it could be better if I once I get everything in, and I get some friends to come help me. We could probably do it in a week and a half or so, if I had to guess.
I think so.
Um,
A
maybe,
lot of work.
yeah. It is, but I think I've got everything pretty well prepped and ready to go. I need to put the trans on the motor. Nothing needs to be done with the motor. I have everything because it was all off of a running car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole thing's there. So the biggest thing that I haven't done is any of the wiring, but I'm having like harnesses made, and I'm trying to make it as easy as possible.
Oh, it's just like to plug and play everything.
Oh yeah, the whole shebang. Um, so I've never done wiring, but I have some friends who have done wiring, and I'm getting like the easiest thing possible. I hope to do all that. So that's kind of the thing I'm worried about is the wiring,
Gotcha.
and it's a bit of a and the little stuff that comes up. You know what I mean? But the good news is there's already a fair amount of stuff on the car, and I don't know. We'll see. That's what
And
I
then
think.
You're pretty much
What do I
taking
know?
everything off of the broken car, right? And just putting it on the new car.
More or less, yeah. But I mean, because I did the quick change, so that's a different drive shaft. Doing a different transmission. So a lot of the driveline stuff I thought I was going to keep, but it snowballed out of I got to deal on this, I
Yeah.
got to deal on this, and now here we go.
Well, that's not too bad because all that stuff is bolt on. You're not having to like change.
Exactly, yeah. It's all bolt on, like all the what I mean. It's just and they're exact same chassis, So there's nothing to like figure out besides the quick change thing. There's not much to figure out. It's just unbolt and bolt.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And then
bolt
are
stuff.
you are you using like a stock fuel tank, or do you have a fuel cell?
No, stock fuel tank
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I was just curious.
with 2 fuel pumps. Yeah.
How does that work? Do you have them like one on each bucket?
I found that out today, actually. So there's a lot of different ways to do it on the BMWs, right? Because you have the saddle tank, so you get starvation. So I would do track car stuff, like grip stuff too. I did that for a long time. So anyway, I knew about the fuel starvation. So you can do ones that like kind of siphon fuel from one side over the other, or like a dual fuel pump. But the second fuel pump doesn't go to the engine, right? It just pumps fuel over to the other side, where the actual pickup is. So I was moving the fuel pump over to the new car yesterday, and then I realized how everything was connected did not make sense in how I thought, because I thought it was the extra fuel pump was simply a starvation solution to move fuel over to the other side. Which so
Hmm.
then I just got with, Nick and stuff, and he was like, "Oh no, they're both go. It's like an EF, like a EFI. This like two Walbro 450s going straight to the motor." So I was like, "Oh okay."
Okay, so you're always
Like,
getting
moving
fuel no matter
over.
what.
Yeah. So yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. Good. And then are you gonna keep that radiator in the front, or are you gonna move it to the back if you
I'm
haven't
gonna move it to
already?
the back. For now, I'm just gonna keep it in the front to get it moving and get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah, same. I'm just gonna use. Sam's gonna let me use some space over there at their place and work on that,
Nice.
and have somebody to help me with the fab for the tubing and everything, get that stuff set up. So I'm probably gonna put it in the back, but not right now. We had some like issues with our truck, so we were 15 weeks without a truck
I was actually gonna ask you about that.
and just got it back. So now it's like I was hoping the car would be done by now, but we at least had the ability to leave once the car's done. So that's like the limiting factor right now,
Gotcha. So what did happen with the truck?
dude. It was like
And it was well. Let's start off. Like, what kind of truck is it? What year and all that fun stuff.
it's a 2020 Silverado 3500.
Okay.
So it's the new Duramax, and yeah, it's like the newest generation of it.
Got it.
It has like 85,000 miles on it. So we were at Riverside in Jersey, the same event. We're all pulling out my shock tower, right? And so we're messing with everything. My wife goes to start the truck to go get tires from the tire changer. She's like, the truck won't start. I'm like, okay, well, let me pull the shock tower out first, and I'll come back to the truck later.
Yeah.
So we get all that done. I go look at the truck, and it was like, so every time you try to start it, it was so it's got like just a screen for display, right? So you push the button, screen's on, and as soon as it tries to start, it would just like die, and it would
Hmm.
just do that over and over. So we got some people help me kind of troubleshoot it, and it ends up so there's a 500 amp um, fuse, like a solid state fuse. So not just regular, like a solid state fuse. So there's a 500 amp that runs straight from this like kind of block straight down to the starter. Right. So
Hmm.
one side of it has power, and the other side doesn't have power. So we're like, okay, it seems like this thing is blown, and then somebody else had a Power Pro. We put the Power Pro right on the starter, and it didn't do anything. So we're like, okay, well, it seems like it's probably the starter, and that like caused the fuse to blow or whatever. So can't move it. Got it towed to like a Chevy dealer in Jersey somewhere, and they had it for five. No, they had it for 7 days, 7 or 8 days. It
Hmm.
took them 4 days to like even try anything. Um, in the meantime, we're stuck at E Town. We can't go anywhere. So
Yeah.
thankfully it was E Town, and they are awesome. So they're not gonna like kick us out. So they're like, well, we'll just get Bobby. So Bobby lives across the street, comes over with his dually, hooks it up because the trailer's 20,000 pounds. It's not like any truck can move it. So he
Exactly.
goes, hooks it up, gets me like out of the parking lot where it was, and kind of over parks in the grass over where the shop area is. And we were just posted up there for, like I said, 7 or 8 days, waiting for the truck to get done. That was crazy. It was super hot. We couldn't run. It's all generator, right? But you run through a lot of fuel running AC, so we had to like be outside, so we're not running through too much fuel.
Hmm.
Going to get like hose water and putting it in like tubs and stuff, so the kids like have something to play with. We're trying to like find
Yeah.
ways to entertain the children.
That's
Uh,
gotta be fun.
yeah, but everybody like again, the drift community is awesome. There were like people around there would offer me their like vehicle to go get food or something.
Nice.
Uh, Andy Haley just hung out there for like 3 days with us. He was just like let me. He would just leave the keys to his truck on the top tire if I needed to go somewhere. I was just like, "Hey, can I use your truck real quick?" I'd be like, "Yeah," and he would just let me take his truck because
Dude, that's sweet.
talking about he's like he's been stranded before. He's like, "I know what this is like. Just go if you need to go." So yeah, dude, he's a man. He was awesome, very nice guy, and that was a huge lifesaver to just be able to go fill up fuel tanks and stuff
Yeah, exactly.
and get ready, or be able to at least have AC and stuff at night, and cook and things like that. So anyway, we're stuck there for 8 days. We get the truck back. They had replaced the starter and that fuse block. Um, we load up, head back down to Georgia. Because the plan was to come down to Georgia. There were some events. I was going to work on the car a little bit, and then we're just going to kind of keep it moving, right? So we get down there. We had to get the RV serviced for something. Like a dealer had it, and they broke something, and they needed to fix it. So we took it down there to fix it. And so we stayed at my dad's house for a couple of days, which is where I am now. We were like unexpectedly just moved the family in here because we had nowhere else to go. And so we are there for like a couple days because we didn't have the RV. My wife goes to start it, nothing. It's doing the same thing. Screen's just dying. So we get it towed to another dealer. And dude, it started this 10 or 12 week afterward saga of just replacing the fuse boxes. And dude, it would be an hour just explaining everything that happened with it. But we just didn't have it. We got it a couple times and it broke immediately. Mm-hmm. So what ended up being the problem is that it was one of the head was cracked. So it head cracked. It leaked coolant into the cylinders, and while the dealer had it, it actually just hydrolocked. And so that was it. So it seems like it was like dumping coolant slowly into the cylinders, and just that kind of added resistance when it would try to start was just a little bit too much resistance, and it was blowing that fuse. It kept blowing. They went through a lot of crazy stuff to try and figure out what the heck was blowing that fuse. So that was it. So they drained it all out. They said they checked it, make sure no rods are bent or anything. They were trying to get a new motor from GM because it's under a powertrain warranty. Mm-hmm. So GM wouldn't give it to them. So the warranty is a new head, and they basically just decked the other head.
Gotcha.
And I've had it now for about a week and a half, and it seems to work.
I saw that, and
so we'll
keep your fingers crossed.
Dude, it's great, man.
That's fucking wild. That makes sense, though.
It does make sense, but it just, I don't know. I mean, I still don't feel super warm and fuzzy about it, especially going out there, right? Because we were supposed to leave a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I was hoping to leave Monday. I still don't have a lot of stuff. That's not going to happen because we're going to SEMA. Mm-hmm. And we got an RV park and stuff out there, so we're going to go out and park at SEMA and whatever, go to it. So that's not going to, I'm still going to go, but I'm going to have to fly. And,
gotcha.
But anyway, I was like, the service advisor calls. He's like, all right, I got good news. We got the truck working. I'm like, all right, well, did you make sure the rods weren't bent? I'm like, asking him all these questions. He's like, yeah. I'm like, bro, I'm glad that you're happy that it's fixed and I'm happy, but I'm just very skeptical about this truck now. And the last thing I need is this thing like taking a crap in the middle of New Mexico on the way out there. And I have getting that thing towed is not easy.
Yeah, especially when you have a 20,000 pound trailer.
Yeah, we do the trailer, and it's just a mess. So I don't know, dude. I did not. That was a real curveball.
In your whole year, looks like.
Dude, yeah, that was honestly, man. The last 3 months,
almost 4 months. Yeah.
It's been an awesome experience overall. The last 3 months, it's just been like if it could go wrong, it did.
Yeah, exactly.
It was crazy. But so anyway, we're hopefully gonna get going here.
So where is the new car? Is it with you or is it over here?
It's with me. I have like a little calling it a shop would be a bit of an exaggeration, but I have a space up here that I can work on it.
Gotcha.
So at least I have like a covered spot, because before I'm like operating this drift car and doing all these events and stuff, trying to maintain it and fix it like in RV parks everywhere, and that's not ideal. So at least I have like concrete floors and a roof.
Yeah, exactly. When do you plan on actually getting the work done?
As soon as I get everything.
Oh, okay. So you guys are gonna stay out there for a while, or you're gonna travel and just fly back and do it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just flying in for SEMA, then I'll have to fly back to Georgia.
Okay, that's what. I missed that.
But yeah, it's my main focus. I'm waiting on like the trans and the wiring and all that kind of stuff, and once I get it.
And then what trans did you go with?
Trans I have an E46 M3. Is a 6-speed.
The ZF 6-speed.
I don't think it's a ZF in the
I don't know.
M3. I have to Google it for you.
I'm just saying words. I'm
Yeah,
just saying
me too. I'm
BMW
just saying
lingo.
words.
I'm just saying BMW lingo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
anything
the
about it.
ZF 5 speed is the one everybody uses, which is like the E36, which is in like the 328s and the M3s, and those are really good. But that's again based off of what Sam said and what seems to be definitely what seems to be true is you can send about 500 horsepower through stock M3 drivetrain in what I would call like motorsport use. You know, you could do like dyno pulls and it be more than that, but if you're going to be running it hard, you don't really want to send more than that through it. Um,
Good to know.
so anyway, I'm going to send more than that through it. So I'm just going to put that trans in there. And it's the trans that's been in Sam's E36 for however long he's been running that thing. So it's hopefully I'm not getting it at the end of its life. But I think I feel pretty warm. I feel pretty good about it.
I thought he had a dog box in that car for whatever reason.
He
His
just put a dog
E36.
box in.
Ah,
So the reason I'm getting this is because he put a dog box in.
that makes sense. Okay,
But yeah,
sweet.
all up until now, like when it was blue and orange and stuff, it was all that. It was all that 6 speed.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. I always thought it had a dog box.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know that he gave up on that one series, and he's like, nope, that's gone. It's parting out.
Yeah, I mean, he just said it was just too hard to drive, too much grip. He couldn't-
Is that what it was?
yeah. He just had a hard time taking grip out of it. Did through
Uh,
everything I'm aware of in the book, and I'm assuming him, and just trying to take some grip out. But
I talked to Mike that over at Weissfab about that because it's the same rear subframe in the E90, and I was like, hey, you guys have this option to add these arms or something like that for the rear end, and he's like, do not get those. He's like, those are gonna add way too much grip to your car, and you're gonna waste your money. He's like,
oh,
unless you
really?
have 1,000 horsepower, don't touch them. I was like, all right, thank you.
That's crazy. I mean, Sam had like 1,000 horsepower, but it was yeah.
Yeah, that's good to
But
know.
I don't know. Talk to him if you want more info on it. From what I was understanding, though, it was like anytime on throttle was fine because he had the power to overwhelm it, but
Mhm.
like it just didn't have any float to it. It was just grip.
Okay, okay.
So
That
you
makes sense.
had to drive it super aggressive, and that makes it kind of tough.
And
So
that
you
wouldn't
slow
necessarily
it
be
down.
his driving style, I would say. Not that he's not aggressive, but um,
Yeah,
to be on throttle 1,000%, probably good
I
for
mean to
like
be
a
like
V8.
committed to throttle all the time. Like, it's one thing to just be really committed to throttle and just maybe stay in a lot for transitions and stuff, but you can't always do that, especially if you're
Hmm.
following or you're
Yeah,
like there's some big track or whatever, and you just need like that last little float a bit to just like hit that outside zone or something. If you
it's
don't,
exactly why everyone needs a V8.
yeah, there's like 80 psi.
Yeah,
Just
there you
float that
go.
sucker right on out there.
That's good. I maybe you know what? I think I'm gonna ask him to come on then. I haven't. He and I have actually never spoke. I just know who he is, and I know he's like really good with like BMW engines and chassis setup and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, he's a good source of knowledge. A good guy.
For sure.
He's been a big help to me. So
Oh, good. And I know. So Winter Jam, you are planning on being there and being done by then?
I'm planning
With
on being like there, good to go at Winter Jam. Hopefully the rear radiator,
okay.
and because we're taking the radiator out of Sam's 1 Series,
Hmm.
putting it in mine, but obviously it's going to need different piping and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so hopefully getting all that stuff set, and I'm basically just going to come out there and then complete it at Sam's place, and hopefully have at least a week or so just kind of post up at Willow Springs and kind of dial it in and get used to it up at balcony or whatever.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, at this point, I've touched everything, and I'm not a great mechanic, so it's like
Oh,
we
really?
need to see
Oh.
see what's loose around here. And
I feel like that's the only
what
thing I'm
is
confident in is like I'm good at working on cars, and that's all I got going.
yeah, dude, I'm a lot better than I was when we first started, but it's
Oh, good. There you go.
experience, just experience.
You're right.
Like that's been the benefit of this. This is like the most in-depth thing I've ever done, so it's gives me, I feel like a lot more confidence with the car
Dude, it
going
really sucks you
in the
in, man.
future.
It's drifting is fucking crazy. I've revolved my whole life around it now
Dude, tell me about it.
to the point where like I want to make more money to go drifting, so like I do better at work.
Dude, a
So
lot of
yeah.
people like there are a lot of side hustles and stuff. They end up either they're just a side hustle now, or they end up being successful or whatever. Dude, it
Hmm.
started because of drifting because they're trying
Look
to
at
get more
Rome.
money.
Rome's a car builder now,
Yeah,
like on the regular because of drifting. Not
yeah,
that he
dude, that's
couldn't
like
build a car before, but like that's what he does now. To like, I think, I think it pays his bills if I'm not mistaken.
that's
I have to
awesome.
ask
Yeah.
him.
Like Corey, what's the name of Corey Talaska? And
Hmm.
does pro spec in E36. Talking to him, he has like a print shop, and he'll do stuff like that. But he started the print shop on the side to get more money to go drifting. It is there's like a lot of stuff like that. Um,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, drifting is this really interesting place to be. It's obviously a sport, but it's like its own kind of subculture.
Hmm.
And I feel like everybody is. It's almost like everybody's kind of like a family, but like a bunch of cousins you never met.
Yeah,
It's like even if you don't like each other that much, like you're still like in some way like drawn to each other.
exactly.
And I've just had this feeling that that's just like a kind of a natural human tendency when you just have like groups of people who feel like we all have this thing in common, and we're all just maybe like a little bit on the outside of the norm. It kind of creates this sense of community. You feel
Yeah,
me? So it's like I'm obviously I'm by no means the only one, but you can just go all over the place, and just I've firsthand experience being the majority of the time in places I didn't know anybody, and people are just always so helpful, like letting me use their shop, or I haven't had to do it yet, but like offer me to like, oh, you don't have anywhere to park the RV, you can park it at my house. I have space, and
nice.
whatever. They don't know me. It's,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's true. Uh, but I think that's how like the community seems to be though. Like it will be like a complete stranger that's gonna help you. It's not
yeah,
gonna be. It's not gonna be the guy that you've seen like several times at several different events. It's always gonna be some random ass stranger who's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Do you need help?"
yeah,
At
yeah,
least in my own personal experience, that's the way it's been.
yeah. I can
Then
see
again, I
that.
haven't really asked for help too, so or
Yeah,
haven't been in a
that's
position where
part
I've
of my.
needed.
I need to plug my laptop in, but yeah, that's maybe part of my problem is I don't ask for help as nearly as much as I probably
Should
should.
yes,
Yeah,
same.
but the thing, I also kind of have like the community like drift homeless guy going for me.
There you go.
So it's just like, oh, dude, here you can use my pad of concrete for a minute.
Yeah, but you're doing probably arguably like one of the more unique things within the drift community, like especially like with the family and stuff going around traveling. I mean, that's
Yeah,
really cool. That's you're creating like you're not giving a traditional upbringing where you're stuck in a house all day. Like these kids get to tell a story when they get older. Like we fucking traveled all over the United States and just went drifting. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I think that's pretty cool. Where that's just what they're used to. Where other people who hear that story are gonna be fucking amazed by it. But that's just the life they live, so to speak.
yep. I was interested to see how the kids would react when we came back here. So like I said, we've been kind of stuck here for a while in Georgia. So we've been like back around kind of what we used to be around. Like the kids are kind of closer to their friends, and like some
Mm.
of our friends, and we're staying in my dad's house and stuff like that. And it's like a one spot all the time. Do you want your friends to come over and like play in the pool or whatever? Like a more normal kind of a childhood.
Yeah.
What I mean? And my wife and I were kind of curious to see how they reacted to it. Like, are they going to be like, I don't want to get back in the RV. I want to stay here, or, whatever. And
Yeah.
all three of them have a 7, a 5, and a 3-year-old. Granted, the 3-year-old is just like down for whatever because she's 3.
Yeah. Exactly.
The 7 and the 5-year-old are just like everybody just is every day. They're like, when are we going to go back in the RV? I want
Good.
to
That's
go
awesome.
and get back. The 3-year-old, she was like, "When are we going back to the racetrack? I want to go to the racetrack." And so yeah, it's been pretty interesting. So we're asked my 7-year-old, "Why do you want to be in the RV? Would you rather have a house and stay in the same spot?" And she was like, looked at us like we were crazy. And she was like, but then we'll always be in the same place and see
Yeah.
the same things. Eventually we're gonna have to end up in a house, right? I feel like, but that was kind of a cool like little social experiment, I guess.
Yeah.
Really did.
Yeah, as kids get
Because you
older
do get people that are like just for the whole RV life thing in general that are very vocally against it. They feel like it's wrong with,
though. Oh.
kids.
Well,
So I don't know. I
your
obviously don't
kids are gonna be able to tell a
know why I'm
story my
doing it,
kid
but I was
can't.
kind of curious what the kids thought.
No, that's pretty cool. I think it's neat. They seem to be enjoying themselves. Obviously, they're like, "Hey, when are we going back out there?"
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet. And then the missus loves it too.
Yeah. No, I mean, she's great. Should we enjoy the travel part of it? I mean, some of as it would be on anybody, just for kind of drifting or just motorsports in general, especially as it continues to escalate around here, it gets maybe not a burden, but it's getting to be a lot. You know what I mean? So, for
Yeah.
example, messing with this car and everything is kind of taking a lot longer than I thought. So we've missed out on things that she wanted to do. Like she has this thing about going to Albuquerque, and I don't really get it, but
Mhm.
she just really wants to go to Albuquerque. And so, anyways, so now we're not gonna have time to go to Albuquerque because we got to get out there. We got to go to winter. We're trying to make it a winter jam and all that kind of stuff. So it's like she gets bummed about things or just seeing the car crashed and all this kind of stuff. But she's also just knows how that go. That's how it goes, and she just kind of takes it. Something I've always
Yeah.
appreciated about her. She's not like the kind of woman that's gonna just like let something bother her and not say it and just be like
Silent treatment.
all the
Yeah.
time.
It's fine.
Yeah, she's
It's
gonna be like, I'm
it,
unhappy with something, and this is what it is.
it's
Like,
she when she calls you by your first name. You're like, oh, what happened to Babe?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, usually it's sure. What happened? No, it's never
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but
That's
no,
funny.
she's been fantastic for the whole thing. I can't do any of it
And
without her.
while you guys are traveling, because I know you compete too, right? Like you are competing this year, right? I know you have competed, but your
Yeah,
plan is to compete for like a license, possibly.
yeah. So for 2024, I'm planning on doing two pro-ams,
Mm-hmm.
probably on the East Coast. So I'll do East 10 and US Drift in
Okay.
Florida. Assuming I can. This year that wasn't possible because a lot of the rounds they did on the same dates.
Gotcha.
So hopefully they don't do that again,
Gotcha.
and I can do two different series, and that's not too crazy of a distance.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I did a good many grid lives. We're just gonna do grid lives,
Those are
and then
sweet.
maybe a few of the riversides because those are a lot of fun. But
Oh, okay.
grid lives are
Are
amazing.
you gonna Are you gonna do the shootout at Winter Jam?
Yeah,
Okay. So,
yeah. I'm just gonna do the shootout. I did the shootout last year. Sam got the motor in it was just a kind of a similar situation. Sam got the motor in the car. I drove it like for an hour at balcony, and then loaded up and went to the shootout.
how'd you do? How'd you do? Even
I not great. I don't know. I made it maybe
qualified?
past like a couple or something. I don't know. I did not great, and the car had issues and misfire. It just had these like normal teething things you have. You know what I mean? That I'm hoping to
When
get
you
out of the
just
way.
finish a car? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was just doing all of its normal teething stuff at the shootout. So I also
Um,
told myself this year I'm going to go. I assume it's at the same spot, the same course. I'm going to drive it a few times, then I'm going to go experience the rest of Winter Jam. I only drove the Winter Jam course like a couple times. I'm just going to
mhm.
go drive the other tracks. I'm not going to be stressed out about getting laps in on the comp course. I'm just going to do a little bit of practice on it and then just go enjoy the event more because I kind of regretted not doing that. And it takes a lot of time how that's set up, because everybody comes down that hill and does the course. So you kind of have to like wait there and they shuffle people, excuse me, up the hill and all that kind of stuff. So it just takes a while. So I think I'm just going to
Gotcha. I've
go
never
in
been.
a little bit more of a laid back.
I'm supposed to go this year. I need to get some funds together for it because I need tires. I mean, I can afford the event. Tires seems to be the the money I need to spend, and
It's
getting
always
tires
it's fun.
to begin with is a struggle. But I'm actually going in I'm renting a car because my car won't be ready.
You're renting a drift car?
Yeah,
Is it like
it's an
a
E46 that
a car
Sam
that's
built.
normally rented as a
Yeah,
drift car?
yeah.
You said Sam built it?
Sam built a motor in it.
What's in it?
It's an M50 turbo,
Oh, okay.
so that's gonna be interesting too because I've never driven um, a turbo car.
It's
Well, I've
pretty
driven a
interesting.
turbo car, but not an inline six turbo car that has. He said the boost comes on a little bit later than he even he'd like.
Yeah, it's
Stuff like
definitely a
that.
real experience. It takes a lot of kind of planning and extra footwork and stuff. I've never driven a V8 car, but just like my NA straight six. I remember talking to Taka, and he was like, "If you want to really perform, a V8 is a lot
Hmm.
easier, but the turbo car is going to kind of force you to have a little bit more technique
Yeah,
in how you work it." But I don't know. I don't really have particular.
I'm curious as to how it's gonna work because I will have the car way before, so I'm allowed to drive it to go get used to it. But I am kind of curious as to like how it's gonna work because I had like my low power Cadillac for a little bit,
Mhm.
and that thing I had to like really overdrive to really make it work, where my foot was constantly through the floor.
Yeah,
Like there was no lifting. Like it was just constant clutch kicking, and I pretty much glued the gas pedal to the floor. Uh,
yeah.
so we'll see if that's something similar or I have to like flutter throttle. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I want to drive it at least 2 days before, like 2 full days before I go to the shootout and hate myself.
That should be fun. Are you gonna do the shootout
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
that
car?
is the
Oh,
plan.
sweet.
If I feel uncomfortable with it, I'll just back out. Like if I feel like I'm gonna crash the car or something like that, because I don't want to have to build two cars
Yeah.
if
I
I
mean, that's
fuck
a
his
pretty
car
chill
up.
layout
Yeah.
right there. There's not a ton to hit. There's so much runoff at the end of
Oh
the
really?
first
I've never
mission.
been.
Yeah, I think it was called like maybe turn 11. I
That
don't know.
sounds
It
that
was.
sounds familiar. Yeah.
It's the same spot. It's like a big downhill, so it's pretty fast. But there's at least on the fast part, there's nothing to hit.
Oh,
The
good.
only wall is on the as you're leaving the course, basically. So then you're
Good to
you're
know.
already like super set and drift, and it's not like an outer zone or anything. You don't have to like get super close to it.
Good to
So
know.
it's a good setup to really throw it in there, and the worst thing that's
Oh
going to
really?
happen, you're just going to like bury it in some gravel.
Gotcha. Good to
Yeah.
know. I've actually never been there, so I'll take it up to AVS up here and probably do a balcony day, one of each,
Yeah.
just to get comfortable with it. We'll see.
Go for it, dude. Do horse thief. Let's go for it.
I like Horse Thief.
I like horse thief too.
It takes me. It took last time I drove it. It took me like half a day to get used to it in the underpowered car.
Hmm.
To like really get through the course. But once I'm getting through, I'm fine.
Right
But then,
after, right after I took the car to Winter Jam, I took it back to Sam because he hadn't really finished it. He hadn't done everything he wanted to do to it,
hmm
so he finished it up and did the rear wise fab and stuff. So I went back out to Willow Springs, and I was just gonna test it out. But somebody had booked balcony. Somebody had booked what's the big oval called? Walt
Walt
James.
James.
Yeah, somebody booked Walt James. So the only thing left was Horse Thief.
hmm
So I was like, well, I guess we're doing testing on Horse Thief then. And went up there. That was my first time driving it, and it was sick. I love that crazy downhill where you're
Elevation. Yeah,
definitely gonna fly off the end, but it just kind of banks in, and you're good to go. My
that's
wife.
the only track I've been on a ride along in,
Oh,
and
really?
it's fucking gnarly. Yeah,
That's a
and I've only,
crazy track to be like the only track to have a ride along on.
yeah.
Dude, I came down that hill and my wife was there trying to get some video and stuff. So it was I don't know if it's called anything, but that kind of really downhill into that little horseshoe, right? So I go down there and she's getting some video or something, and I kind of just linking around and I go back down to where the water tower
hmm
is. So I'm still drifting on water tower and I see she's like had must have run down the hill and had crossed the track and was standing at what would be like the inner clip near water tower. And I didn't realize I saw her there, as I came around, and I didn't know she was going to be there. And I'm just like, why are you there? What are you doing? And I'm just like, don't look at her, don't look at her, don't look
Yeah.
at her. It went wide and came back. I was like, yo, don't do that. But she got some good shots, though. She's definitely the ride or die.
Right.
Got some good shots.
Yeah, that's a. I've seen people wreck right there too, where they try to connect. They always tell you not to drift the water tower, and somebody always fucking hits the dirt right there.
Oh,
Like,
really?
that's why they tell you not to do it. Yeah.
Oh, man. I was by myself. I didn't know you were tell you not to do it.
Yeah. There's a one rule with I don't know if it's necessarily staff. I think it's just people when they run events, like the organizers. They're like, don't drift the water tower if you can't.
Yeah, trying to minimize.
Yeah, exactly. And every event that I've been to, someone has always done it and then like wiped out. Every single time. But at least it's like in an area where like you can still go around. So if somebody does wipe out, you just have to exit the track at the end of your lap to go around it. Yeah.
That's good. But yeah, no, I like Horse Thief.
Yeah, that track is fun.
But dude, that's exciting. I'm curious to see what you, as a big V8 guy, I'm curious to see what you think about the car.
For power, yeah, I'm kind of curious too.
Yeah.
And it's an E46, so it's a car I do know, which I've driven before, so I'm not worried about that. I don't dislike the E46. I just didn't want to build another one because everybody and their mom has one, so that's why I went with that E90. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I was hoping to have that car done in time. RJ told me because RJ was the person who gave me the ride along at Horse Thief.
Oh, really?
And his E36, yeah. But circling back, he told me the car was ready to get picked up, but I didn't want to pick it up and then have to go back to get the molds. He's like, the molds aren't done yet. He's like, but if you wait 3 weeks, the molds will be done and we'll fit them to the car. I was like, just finish the car.
Yeah.
I'll come pick it up later. But that 3 weeks probably would have been like enough time because I have all of the parts and I was actually taking my vacation time to like do all my fab work. I was going to start on Friday and then obviously get those like 10 days because I have those 2 weekends to try to finish all of the fab work I need to get done. So then I can just run through it and slap it all together. But that's not going to be enough time.
What are you putting in?
An LS.
Which one?
LS2.
Oh, okay.
Same motor I had already.
Oh, okay.
So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. What is your plan? I know you're gonna do some shootouts and stuff like that. If you do license, when do you plan on going to Pro Spec?
No, I'll just do it right away.
You would go right away? Oh, okay. So let's just say you license this
Or
event.
like a head first kind of a guy.
I hear. So am I. I have no fun. I jump into things without thinking any. Hang on.
No, you go ahead.
Hey. I'm gonna have to stop doing podcasts on days I don't have anybody here.
You know, you're talking about how you're not going to edit anything out, but now it's...
Yeah, now I'm fucking stuck doing it. Well,
just stand here. I assume he's going to edit this out. Go ahead. What?
Yeah. No, it's like every time I do a podcast when no one's here, my dogs have to use the restroom. But if like my kid's here or my girlfriend's here, like just she works the evening time, they don't have to use the restroom and they'll be inside the whole time just fine. But as soon as I'm here alone having to do something, and I let them out before we started at like 6 o'clock.
Oh, man.
Now they're like, I have to go. So they start barking. So yeah, I was saying, I don't think of any consequence. I just jump into whatever the fuck it is I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's hope this works. And
I feel like it's a good way to learn stuff, you know what I mean? Like, if I had a license, then I'm just going to go straight to Pro Spec, especially since I already kind of travel around a lot anyway. So the kind of, and if I'm more on the East Coast, you know, you got Atlanta, that's home for me. And then you got, E-Town, St. Louis, and
Orlando.
No, it's not Pro Spec round.
Oh, it's not? Oh, shit. Okay.
No. At least it wasn't last year, and I think when I saw the schedule, it's not this year. So who knows what it is in 2020.
They just released it, right?
Yeah, I think it's the exact same thing it was this year.
Gotcha. Okay.
So anyway, so you have those, and they're not terribly far, and we can kind of like make a thing out of it, right? You know what I mean? Because I'm bringing my house with me.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the only other thing is like I would have to find some way to make more space for like spare parts.
Hmm.
Um, but at least then I wouldn't have to bring as many tires because you got tire stacks out there, and and I can like fly in like my buddy Trey, who's an awesome mechanic, and maybe like one other person, and my wife's my spotter. You know, so I'll
Gotcha.
definitely going to be like a bare bones guy, but I feel like I could do pro spec like that and
Get
do it.
by.
And maybe I'm not going to like destroy everybody, but
No, no,
like,
no, it's
you know.
understandable. Have you thought about? I don't know what your budget's like, but have you considered of getting like an RV and trailer situation?
Yeah, so we thought about that initially when we kind of got everything started.
Hmm.
There's a few issues with that. One, like a motorhome, like where you're driving kind of an RV, they're a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Like a lot more expensive. And then all of them, it doesn't matter like where you are in the price range for them. The way they're set up, like living wise, is a bedroom in the back, and then the extra beds are like bunk beds adjacent to the main living area. So that means the kids don't have their own space.
Hmm.
So if
Got
like
it.
you put the
Problem.
kids to bed and you don't want to go to bed, you guys are going to stay up or whatever, like you're trying to be all quiet or you're stuck in the bedroom, you can't be like out there getting food or whatever. So that was kind of a problem for us.
Gotcha. That makes
And
sense.
then the other thing is okay, so we do that and we tow the car and the trailer. Well, you really need two cars. You need the race car and then you need like transportation. Because when you get
That's
somewhere and you go to the store, like I don't want to have to drive my house to Walmart or
yeah.
or go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like we want to go explore San Francisco or something. We can't. I can take the dually into a city. I can't really take like the RV. So our setup is at least for us and what we're doing is like the best thing that I've come across because you got the car in the car backs out, and now we fixed up the garage space, so that's the kids' room. They have like a 18-foot garage. That's all their space. They have like I have all three girls, and they have like a craft table that folds down, and like a little play kitchen, and their beds are on like these bunks that raise and lower,
Nice. Okay.
and like it feels like a room, and it's a separate space. So we can
Gotcha.
be like, you guys go play, and they can go play in their room. And when they go to
Yeah.
bed, we still have like the living area and the bedroom, and then the tow truck is the transportation.
Absolutely. And then I could also understand like it kind of every single one of you having like your overstimulating moments with one another, like
Oh
camping.
yeah,
All yeah. Okay, that makes sense too. So that's good that you kind of you can separate yourself as well.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, yeah. You have a kid. I mean, like
exactly.
anybody with at least, especially like multiple small children, where they're just like,
Yeah. I got it. And he's 12 now, and he is everything a preteen is right now.
yeah. I'm
Everything.
not looking forward to that with the three dogs.
So
It should be interesting.
yeah, yeah. He's a lot, and I'm just like, keep it down. Let me know when you're over it. It's funny because I
Yeah,
don't let it bother me, and but
yeah.
it'll like bother somebody else about it. I'm like, you can get mad about it. I'm not. Uh, it's funny.
And obviously, we're always in campgrounds. We're always like, go outside. So we
Yeah.
can get them outside
I
as
miss
much as
going
possible.
camping, man. I used to go camping a lot with my uncle as a kid. But we
Mhm.
would do like the campground thing, and that was always like the most fun, especially if they had like a pool situation. Well,
Yeah,
we only did it during the summer, really. And then you just make new friends at the fucking pool for the
yeah.
weekend, and then that's it. All right, I'll never see you again.
Yeah, that's how it goes. They're just like they'll find little friends and stuff. But a lot of people live in RVs now.
Hmm.
So most anywhere you go, you'll find a good many like full-time RV families. Um, so we haven't done as much because we have like trip schedules and stuff that we're doing. But what a lot of people do is they'll just get these like other couples or families or whatever that they like, and then they'll like try to go to some of the same places.
Mm.
Right. So
Okay.
especially, and then a lot of people end up like Palm Springs, for example. We have this membership called Thousand Trails, so it's like a you can buy the membership used, It's basically like a timeshare kind of a thing. So it was, I might be wrong. I think it was like 4 grand used. I think new it's like 8. 4 grand one time, and then $600 a year. But you can move from park to park, and all your living cost is covered.
Oh shit.
Right. So all my only living cost outside of that is diesel.
Yeah, I was
Move
gonna say
back and forth. So
the
like
fuel to
we
get
have
around
water.
town.
Yeah, we have water. We have sewer. We have power and all that. So a lot of people do that because it's super inexpensive. You just have to get out within 20 days, which has been fun because they don't want you like living in the same spot, right? You got to keep moving, which for us has been fine. But like Palm Springs, there's one of those places in that network, and it's not garbage weather in the wintertime. So you always get like all the full time
Influx of
people
people.
are in Palm Springs, like right around then.
Yeah.
So you'll end up seeing all the same people. Everybody's in Palm Springs, or there's one outside of San Diego, and then or Florida.
Uh huh. Well,
And that's
Florida always in certain parts of Florida different as far as like the weather goes, or does it is it all like pretty much, um, like tropical the whole state?
it's all relatively tropical. The further south you go, the more tropical it gets.
Uh
But
huh.
North Florida, South Georgia in the wintertime, it's not
Yeah.
ever going to snow or anything. It's
Trying to make sure my dog didn't jump the fence.
no, you're good.
Uh, I want to go to Florida. I haven't been there. I've been to Atlanta once, uh, for some training for work, and then that didn't. I was there for a week.
Yeah.
Wherever Six Flags is, it was right next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
not the best side, but I'm glad you came.
oh, dude,
uh,
it's wild. Actually, crazy story. While I was there, somebody, I was doing some training for an alarm panel,
mhm.
and somebody went into this facility, broke into all the cars, and like 3 guns got stolen.
Welcome to Atlanta.
Well, exactly. Actually, it's better. When I first got there, when I landed, there was some kid there trying to rent a car with like a fake license or a fake ID, some
Hmm.
sort. Anyways, the cops were onto, or the people that worked at the car rental were onto him. So they called the cops, and then the cops showed up, and this happened all right in front of me. The cops like, "Hey, is this really your ID?" So I was being nosy. I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna turn away. I was like, I gotta see how this plays out.
Let's see what's up.
Anyways, he's like, turn around and put your hands behind your back. Anyways, the guy ended up grabbing the cop and throwing him on the floor and fucking
What?
booked it. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. So I went through like my checkout to get my rental car, and when I was leaving, they blocked off the exit for the rental car area, and then they found that guy in somebody's trunk. I got to see it through. Yeah. So
Went and got in the trunk.
he booked it, and then he was trying to get out like through a trunk of somebody else's vehicle. I would assume somebody who we went with, and they found him in the trunk at the exit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, Atlanta's nice.
It's like one big reality show.
Oh, it
This
was
is
wild.
great.
Yeah, and then the owner of the company at the time put me in the cheapest hotel he could find. I was in the fucking hood. But luckily it was there wasn't too much around. There was just like this hotel, and then there was a fucking Waffle House across the street.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, Waffle House for fucking dinner.
Oh man. Well, make sure you let me know if you come back, and I'll try to give you a better impression.
Yeah, I know. I did go to downtown once and get like some good food, and I was happy. That was about it.
It's a pretty good region to be in. I've been thinking like what as far as like drifting wise, like where's the best place to be? Like I had somebody ask me that. I was like, oh, that's a good point. Where is the best region to be in? I feel like everywhere has its upsides, right? But like I think California is awesome because you
Hmm.
have several tracks and it goes year round, right? Um, but honestly, like the Southeast is pretty up there because if you're like Georgia South, it also goes year round,
Hmm.
and California's huge, right? So like a lot of people on like the East Coast who maybe haven't been out there don't realize how big California is. So like if you're going to be at OSW, Like, so you're gonna do Spring Break Bash at OSW. So those are like obviously it's just a skid pad, but those are really fun events. Like
Hmm.
really want to practice like close tandems and stuff. Like Florida's great to go to,
Yeah.
and and then you go up to Atlanta or Mid Pond. You got Mid Pond in Alabama. You have a new track that was just a new drift track that was just built in North Alabama,
Hmm.
called Lucky something. It's Lucky something. Anyway, a new drift track up there, and you have Lanier in Atlanta. So all those things are like basically driving from San Diego to like NorCal. It's a pretty similar distance. It's about 8 hours or so.
Gotcha.
Like maybe it's a little bit longer, but it's like in the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
So when you
That's not
think of
too
it like
terrible.
that, when you think of it like that, you have a lot of tracks over there.
Hmm.
And then one I haven't driven yet is Polecat in Tennessee. It's some kind of training facility. They do like little formula cars
Hmm.
and stuff there. And a group that's been out here for a long time, iTrack, has done, I think, just one, maybe two events there. They have another one next week, and they somehow got in there. But it is like crazy elevation. Just, it looks nuts.
Hmm.
And this is hearsay, but according to the guy who put the event on, the guy that owns US Air and his son came to the first Polecat event, and they were like, "Yo, this is better. This place is
Nice.
nuts." So you get tons of elevations up in the mountains and stuff like that. So anyway, there's a lot of variety in the
Yeah.
southeast too. The northeast is awesome too. Like if like for me, like vibes as far as the track goes, it's hard to beat E Town.
Hmm.
But the only downside is the weather. You know, it's just season.
Is it always cold up there or what?
No, it's not always cold. You just you're not. There's no driving in the wintertime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're like,
You guys
oh,
get
right, snow.
That's right. You guys get snow up there.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, yeah. I'm oblivious to that, man. I can go to the beach in the winter here. Okay,
yeah.
I got it fucking made. I mean, we pay for it in
You
taxes
do
and
pay for it.
everything else. It's fucking
Yeah,
expensive
you
here,
do pay
man.
for it. That's you have some nice mountains and stuff out there. That's the upside to Florida. You know, it's warm and you're not paying for it nearly as much. But you
Yeah,
might get carried off by an alligator. You never know. So like, this
yeah.
isn't
You're gonna pay for it one way or the other.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. You can pay
yeah,
for it in money or a limb, which either one.
yeah. And we don't have any downtime. I think we might have a month of downtime, and that's gonna be nope. That's a lie. I was gonna say right around Christmas to maybe February, but like there's an event every year, Andy Slay Day, which is on the first
Yeah,
of the
Andy
year
Slade.
at
Well,
ABS.
I want to try to go to Andy Slade Day this year. Yeah,
That's
that's
when I
right.
was trying to have
And
my
he,
car ready. Not gonna happen.
oh, dude, you can do it.
Maybe for so there's a
Andy
rumor.
Slade Day 2027.
There's a rumor that the Drift League is gonna have a shootout in March.
Oh, okay. Are they going to do
Uh,
more events? I did one Drift League event. The thing that Elliot won over at Apple Valley. Anyway, I did one Drift League event last year. And are
mhm.
they going to do more events besides the shootout this year? Do you know? I wonder.
From my understanding, they're supposed to be putting on an entire series.
Awesome.
Nothing. I have not heard this from the horse's mouth. So, I don't know. This is all just hearsay right now.
So,
I'm allowed to.
absolute
I'm
facts.
allowed to
Well,
spread
100%. We
rumors.
know it for sure. Go ahead, put it up.
Yeah, I'm allowed to spread rumors. I'm just not allowed to make. If I do know for sure, if I hear it from the horse's mouth, and then I say something, then I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's not terrible to spread a rumor as long as you say it's a rumor.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the rumor.
yeah,
And
I
that's
feel
all
like
I've got going for me right now.
that's the rule
Uh,
we just made up, and we're gonna stick to it.
yeah. Well, I hope they do. I really miss freaking the Drift League. It was a really fun event. Because all my friends were there, so
They did a
I
good
do.
job, like organizing it, and it was well put together.
Yeah, absolutely. For whatever reason, it didn't take off as well as like Hot Pit has, though.
Yeah, I feel
Hot
like
Pit has
Hot Pit
taken.
kind of they put a lot more hype, at least from my perspective and how I found out about those things and stuff. Is like I think there's just a lot more hype around Hot Pit,
Yeah, I
and
think
it's at a place that's a lot easier for spectators to show up than Apple Valley is.
it is, but like the Drift League was at Irwindale, and
Oh, I was just talking about that one event.
yeah.
Oh no,
Well, that's right. It was not. You don't remember. When did you start drifting? It wasn't that long ago, right? It was like
you mean in general or out of the RV?
Out of the RV situation.
Out of the RV, it's almost been 2 years.
Okay.
I
Wait, how
think
long
it
have you been
was
drifting in total?
December 2021.
And in total?
And in total, I've probably been drifting 4 years. And then
Gotcha.
before that, I did like grip stuff. I did like time attack. Just used to do like some coaching and stuff. So I've been driving on like track stuff for intermittently for, I don't know, 15 years.
Gotcha.
So I was younger, but that was in and out.
Have you always been doing? Wait, what kind of car did you drive when you were doing the grip stuff?
I had an Audi first, which I don't recommend. And then I had a FRS, well, an FRS when those first came out. It was a
Mm-hmm.
good car. I had a couple 240s before that. Um, and then the FRS was a really good track car, but it was just like, I got more and more kind of serious with it, and it just was a track only car. And it was brand new when they came out, so I had payments on it, and I was like, man, I'm about to like have some payments on a lump of metal in my yard. Better get rid of this thing. So
Yeah.
that's how I got into E36s. I had a friend that had a E36 that he put an M3 motor in an S52, and my clutch went out at Road Atlanta in the FRS, and I was instructing that weekend, so I couldn't leave. And he was like, "Well, you can take my car. Tell me what you think." So I drove it, and I was like, "Man, this thing's like needs some dialing in, but it's pretty good." So I sold the
Mm-hmm.
FRS and got an E36 and
Okay.
then did track stuff with that car. Got into drifting, and then I was drifting and doing track stuff with the
Jesus.
same car
Okay.
because I have like a side business with my friend, Atlanta Driving Society, where we rent out like Road Atlanta and Atlanta Motorsports Park,
Mm-hmm.
in Dawsonville, Georgia, and we do like HVD stuff, right? So we do instruction. If people have never done it before, we can get them instructors and all the way up to advanced or whatever. So I was doing that like as a business, and I was drifting, and I was doing it with the same car. So I had like SLR angle kit on it, where it's like a little bit wider up front, and it had kind of like a built LSD in the back and the handbrake and all that stuff. And I was just doing, I would like drift it, and then I would do an alignment on the floor of my garage to try and make it drive better, and
Yeah.
then go to track stuff. But I do not recommend that. It's not great at either thing when you do that.
I could see that. Those are two completely different setups, I'm sure. So
Yeah, you
unless
end
you're
up just
swapping out a whole corner of
yeah.
suspension, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do alignment and stuff and everything. For BMWs, the front can be pretty similar. You could maybe run like 4 degrees of camber and just not a ton of toe out. If you have it towed out for drifting, maybe just bring it back to zero.
Mm-hmm.
But most of it's in the rear, where you're gonna have to go from zero camber and have to add camber and maybe tow it and a little bit more and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just kind of gave up on it on one event, and I was like, whatever. I'm just gonna put R comps on it and drift, drift spec, and go hit Road Atlanta. And it wasn't that bad, so could do
Yeah.
it either way. So then I eventually just graduated and just full drifting because I love drifting so much more.
Yeah. It is a fucking mess when it comes to drifting. It's so expensive, man. I was trying to figure out how to make this thing cheaper, and all it consists of is spending more money to make it cheaper. Because you're like, how can I save money? I'll buy a tire machine. Why are tire machines $2,000? I mean, you
Yeah,
can get them for like $500 sometimes, but it's just, I, you spend all this money up front to try to make it cheaper, and then realize you're just spending more and more money
yeah,
instead of like trying to just go get seat time.
yeah,
At least that's the mistakes I've been making.
yeah. I don't know.
So
I
we'll
feel like
see.
it's just keeping like a car simple and not going crazy with it, and just what is the thing that you can run with the smallest tire. This makes the tires as cheap as possible
Yeah,
is what
exactly.
can help, and how much you drive and how you drive, and stuff like that
How
goes
many
a fairly
tires are you
long
going
way.
through?
How
How
many
many
tires am I
tires?
going through?
Yeah. How many tires would you say you've gone through since you started traveling? Because
How
you get a
many
lot
tires,
of seat time when your
dude? How
car
many
is running.
tires have I been through since I started traveling? I don't,
If you guessed it.
dude. It would be such a guess because it's like a lot. um, I mean, it can't be less than 100.
There's no way. How many tires would you say you go through on average per event?
It's changed a lot. So over the last 2 years, I started with a stock motor car, so I went through less tires, but honestly, not that much less tires than I did after putting the turbo motor in there.
Hmm.
Um, and I actually found that so where I kind of started drifting was at the that linear race flex in Georgia, right, where they would, but the way they set it up is they did hot lapping. So you would go out like whatever group you're in, say you're like in intermediate or something, and you go out for a 20-minute session. It's this huge bank track, right? So I was killing a set every session in with 220 horsepower.
Hmm.
But then once I started doing like normal events normally are where you do a lap and come in and then go back out and do a lap and come in, where you kind of cool down a bit,
Hmm.
my tire life went up like crazy. So I don't know, maybe I would do like 2 sets a day in the lower power car, and I'd probably do 2 or 3 in the higher power
Hmm.
now. But I'm also a lot more conscious of how I'm of like wheel speed and stuff. So unless it's a competition or like qualifying or something, and I just like punch it and just send the wheel speed through the roof, I'm trying to be fairly conscious of using the adequate throttle and not just destroying all the tires for
Just a
that
little
reason.
bit more conservative with the tire. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, that's that's one thing I was always curious because I'm like, man, this guy gets a lot of fucking seat time. How much? I wonder what his tire bill looks like.
Yeah.
Are you running on a tire, or are you just getting what you can? Or are
Yeah,
you
no,
running?
I typically use Kendas.
Okay.
Yeah, so I get all my stuff from Tire Stacks, and they're really good with dealing with my like special needs situation and getting like tires shipped to different locations every time, right? So I usually get them shipped to like a FedEx, because they usually ship with FedEx, like a
Hmm.
FedEx location or maybe a track. Depends on the track.
Yeah.
And so they're really good at dealing with me. And so yeah, I usually do Kendas, like just a 300 treadwear, 265,
Yeah.
35, 18. If it's like, or maybe a 200 treadwear if I'm going somewhere that I might want a little bit more grip. And then for East 10, we all had to run the Pro Spec tire, so that GT radial.
Oh
So
shit! Did you?
yeah, so I
Damn.
ran those, which is not ideal, but I did it
What?
because I had to.
What was not ideal about them? Was it the tire or just the
It,
price?
it's the both. So the tire is a good tire. It has a lot of grip to it. It's definitely stickier than the Kendas were. Um, but the trade off of that is you just don't hardly get any laps out of it. So
Mm.
like the first time I drove on them was at the first pro am session there at that big bank track where I
Hmm.
crashed the car, and dude, it was like I did a lap and looked at them. I'm like, bro, I think I can go a second lap on these. Whereas if I was doing that on like a 300 or a 200 treadwear Kenda, I probably could have got 6 or 8 laps
Shit.
out of those. And I'm like, a not crazy high power car or
Oh.
anything. Like I could bring, and I probably had the GT radials at a fairly high PSI, like high 20s or maybe 30 PSI or something, running that bank. I could bring a 200 treadwear Kenda down to 20 or something and probably get similar grip out of it and a lot more life. And the GT radial is more expensive. We get a deal through Tire Stacks and stuff, so it's not like the full price, but it's still more than the Kenda is. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's a good tire. I'm just, Papa's on a budget over here. So trying to like not they're just I'm not looking for I don't need like every last bit of grip I can possibly get. And it's just ran through them a lot faster.
And I imagine traveling the country is not cheap.
It is and it isn't. So it's actually cheaper for us to always be on the move than it would be for us to stay in Atlanta, in Georgia, because of that membership thing I was telling you about.
Hmm.
So there are none of them in Georgia. So if we just keep moving from spot to spot, like I don't pay rent, I have no mortgage, I don't have any other associated costs of owning a house, like maintenance, power, any of that kind of stuff.
Utilities and shit.
Yeah, I have a $50 a month internet bill for like a T-Mobile box that we carry around with us,
Uh huh.
and $600 a year. A
That's not
year
bad at all.
for that. For the membership thing I was telling you about.
It's
So
like it
my
makes
my
life affordable.
yeah, so I go through a fair amount of diesel, but it's way less than rent or mortgage anywhere would be, because I tow somewhere and then I stay there for a while, and then I tow
Yeah.
somewhere and I stay there for a while.
Got
So
it.
that's where like trying to figure out like what it costs me to like travel and drift and stuff like that gets kind of convoluted, because I've gone through like different tires and I've gone through different power levels and I've like done upgrades to the car that I probably didn't need to, but also all my travel costs gets like wrapped into like what's basically my living cost
Yeah.
and going around stuff. So I actually save a good bit of money by living like that, and it's kind of what allows me to do the drifting and do what I've been doing and not like ruin my children's financial future.
There you go. We don't want to do that.
No.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what fucking tires to run next year, but everything seems so freaking expensive.
Well, you got to do the good old, dollar per lap ratio.
What I'm being told right now is Valino is like where it's at.
Volino is where it's at, but they are very expensive.
But I heard that you get so many more laps. I just don't know how true that is. I've never
In
driven
my
one.
experience, you get more laps, but I have not gotten, at least out of like the Grivas
Uh
that
huh.
I've run, I have not gotten more laps to justify the cost.
Okay.
So that's why I kind of keep coming back to the good old
Kenda.
Honda.
What are you
Um,
getting at? What are you getting out of a Kenda now?
um, Let me trying to think of where have I been
Like
on a track.
how many laps are you getting on average?
So I went to the last time I was on Kendas, because I had to do the GT radials the most often, a fair
Mm-hmm.
amount. Um, I went to Grid Life Midwest Fest, which is a amazing event if
Mm-hmm.
anybody ever goes. But Grid Life Midwest Fest, and I went all day on a set of Kendas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's a different. It's hard for me to answer that sometimes because I'm always at a different track, right? But that's so you can drift all of Gingerman, but that would be kind of crazy because there's like you would just be monitoring straight like nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so you drift like sections of it, and then you have like a little bit of a cooldown, and then drift a section of it and have a little bit of cooldown. So it's
Mm-hmm.
also and it's a really nice surface. So those are the kind of caveats to it, and you're going out in sessions. So you're going out 20 minutes. I'm probably getting the equivalent to like maybe a Apple Valley, like 8 laps per session,
You're
and I
doing the
get
whole course at Apple Valley though, because
no, like whatever.
yeah.
When I did the drift league, it stopped maybe halfway through
Mm-hmm.
of all of Apple Valley, of the whole Apple Valley.
Yeah.
Uh, but again, the surface is at Gingerman is like really nice, and you have like cooldown times where you drift that and then you just drive the straight, and then you drift again. So it makes it a lot easier on the tires. But I think I got through almost a whole day on a set of Kendas. But that could be misleading from depending on where somebody else is and what they're doing. I'm not going to get through all day at Apple Valley on a set of Kendas. But
Doubtful. Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, probably two or three. But if you're careful on if you manage your wheel speed properly, which is, I mean, if you want to go fast, that's what you need to do anyway, right? Because if you just send your wheel speed way too high, it's going to slow you down. You're just going to be making a lot of smoke. So you're going to be faster and go through less tires. Manage it, but it just takes effort. But you can make it last a lot longer.
Yeah. But
But no, I'm 100% on the Volino van. But
okay.
they're just kind of expensive. But of the tires I've tried, they're my favorites.
Yeah, that's what I want, but kind of now I'm like on the fence about it. So
Just get 2 sets. Go out and whatever track you're gonna go to for like a fun day or something like that. Just get like one set of Kendas and one set of Gravas, and
Valinos and see how.
yeah, just do it and see.
That's a good point. Yeah, I should probably do that. I have
Yeah.
I bought.
'Cause I feel like so much of it depends on driving style and stuff like that too. So just see what's better for you.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. I do dumb stuff sometimes.
Try to do it on the same day, same tire. You know what I mean? Try to eliminate as many variables as you can.
Yeah, exactly. This. Um. Where so, as soon as your car's done, you're coming straight here.
Pretty much, yeah.
You don't. Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had something else on your
I used to, but
okay.
now they've all pretty much passed.
On your
This-
path to get here.
yeah, it'll take us a little over a week to do it. We try to travel in like 4 to 5 hour increments.
Uh huh.
Uh, one because of the kids, but also they're getting pretty good at travel days. But also, it just kind of takes when you travel a lot, it just kind of takes a lot of the stress out of it to not be like, oh, we got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and we're gonna drive 12 hours and that kind of stuff. So you just kind of get somewhere and you get something to eat, chill. So it kind of takes the stress out of travel. So we'll probably take 7 or 8 days to get out there.
That's not too terrible though either.
Yeah, no, it's fine. You know, when you bring your house with you, it's not too bad.
When you guys are traveling like that, do you guys stop at campsites? Because you said you have that membership. Are you guys stopping at campsites, or you guys just kind of like stopping at a
Uh,
truck stop?
if we're gonna stop, so every now and then we'll stop for like a day or two,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of like recoup, maybe like dump out the tanks and stuff like that. So we'll do that at a campground.
Okay.
But if we're trying to keep moving and just need a one night thing, we use Harvest Host, which is it's an app. It's like $50 a year, and it's basically businesses that will allow you to come and park your RV and stay there overnight. So you have to run off a generator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically just implied that you just buy something from them, right? So there's like breweries, wineries, maybe restaurants if they have a big parking lot or something like that. So those are nice because you stop at a brewery or something. You're just driving all day. You stop, you have a beer, and they have food. Everybody eats, and then you go rest and keep going.
Gotcha.
Or if you're in a tight spot, you can always stop at Walmart.
That's what I figured. I know. Doesn't like Walmart encourage?
They
Uh,
allow it.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, I
I
guess.
don't know if they're like all RVs come here now, but they're like not gonna kick you out.
Yeah.
But
But,
preferably, somewhere with food.
well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna. Do you guys cook? I would imagine when you're traveling, it's mostly like we're hitting a drive-through. Well, we can't go to a drive-through, but we're hitting a
Yeah. Oh
restaurant for
gosh,
dinner.
please don't make me go
Yeah.
through a drive-through.
I made the mistake of going through a Wendy's drive-through down the street from my house, and the manager had to come out and like help me get out of the driveway because I had the
Oh
truck
no.
mixed up like an asshole. It was not a good experience. He's like, "You're scratching my pole." I'm like, "Fuck that pole. This trailer
You're
is about
both
to be
scratching
stuck."
my trailer.
Yeah, but
Oh,
eventually I got out.
so eat like for like on travel days like that or just in general?
Just on travel days. I mean, in general, I assume you guys have a little kitchenette set up, and so
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like a full
yeah,
kitchen in
yeah.
the RV. But yeah, no, we have well, my wife will normally like make lunches and stuff like that that we'll eat along the way, so we have to mess with it. Uh, or she's also gotten really good at looking at Google Maps ahead of time. So if we're like, we're going to go to an In and Out or
Oh,
whatever,
sweet.
like, okay, well, here's one. It's 5 miles up. I zoomed in on Google Maps, and it's next to a Home Depot, so we can park in the Home Depot parking lot and just go over the curb real quick to In and Out. Or so you might have to like come up with if everything has to be planned out, right? It's like a
Yeah.
5 foot trailer. Uh, and then for dinner or something like that. Like I said, we try and do this Harvest Host, so we'll kind of eat just at a restaurant or something like that at night.
Okay. And then even sometimes when you go to certain restaurants, it's kind of a bitch to find parking for a trailer setup. But I imagine if you're staying like along the like the truck routes and stuff like that, I imagine it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, it is. And if you're using like that Harvest Host app, they're
Hmm.
expecting you to be in an RV or something big. so they're not on there if they don't have room for you.
Ah, okay, that makes a little bit more
Yeah,
sense
that's
now.
like kind of the point of it. Oh,
Um,
one of them we stayed at was a decommissioned like nuclear missile silo in
what the
Kansas, which was interesting.
wild?
Yeah, it was just this dude who is out in the middle of nowhere in Kansas, and homie bought a missile silo, a decommissioned missile silo,
Uh
and we
huh.
just parked there, and he like did tours. It was like $10 for a tour or something like that. So that was like the thing you get from him there. Because sometimes it's a farm or something like that. In this case, it was a missile silo, and we just like went down in the missile silo and did a little tour. It was crazy, man. It's like 100 feet deep down in the ground.
Jesus.
But yeah, so we just parked there and then went to the little town to eat. But that's cool too. I like seeing parts of the country that you would like. I can't tell you what the name of that town in Kansas was, but there was no reason for anybody to ever visit that place. But it was kind of cool to go see it. I saw a phone booth. I haven't seen a phone booth since I was like 8. I saw a working phone booth.
A fucking working phone booth. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, that's funny. I think I saw one. It's always in the fucking middle of nowhere too,
What, the
where they
phone booth?
still exist. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this was very in the middle of nowhere. So that, but it was cool. See, we ate like little restaurant and stuff down there and walked around. But it's just like I said, it's just you would have no reason to ever go there, but you get to see places like that,
Yeah.
like that.
What's probably like the most interesting place you've been to,
Uh,
traveling across?
the most interesting. I think as far as like natural things go, I'm a big like outside outdoors person. Is probably Glacier National Park. It's probably
Mm.
the most like beautiful place I've ever seen. They have this road called the Road to the Sun,
Hmm.
and it was like built whatever in the 30s or something, just cut into like mountainside, like no joke. It's this like a wall that big, enough for your tire to be like, oh, I hit something, but not enough to stop you from going off the edge, if you know what I mean. And
Hmm.
it's like, I mean, no joke, 1,000 foot drop
Jesus.
off a cliff. I mean, it is like high,
Uh
and
huh.
you go so far up, and you're into these like alpine gardens, and it's the middle of summertime, and you're in a t-shirt, but there's still snow up there, and it was just really cool. It was really really cool. Um, so that's probably my favorite place or thing that I've seen. Um, and then just visiting like a lot of the cities and stuff, like whatever. Is it like Asheville, North Carolina? Actually, like Portland. Have you been to Portland?
Uh, I drove through it. I didn't really do anything there.
Asheville, North Carolina has like the same exact like hipster vibes of
Hmm.
Portland, but it's way cleaner and way nicer
Oh, really?
than Portland is. Yeah. Uh, so that's really cool. I like Portland too. Let me think. Where else? Man, I just like other just random little towns in like middle of nowhere in Montana or something like that. I can't even remember the name of it, but I just find stuff like that interesting because it kind of reminds you how big the country is and how it's like how people's lives are just like vastly different
From
depending on
other parts of the country.
yeah, depending on from other parts of the country. Yeah.
It's kind of like that just here in California alone. Like if you go to Los Angeles and then you can go to a city in central California, which is called Hanford, and that's a very small town vibe situation there.
Hmm.
Those are two totally different like lifestyles of living. Like there's ranches up there, there's manure is in the air, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like it's very country like there, and it's pretty interesting that you can get that here in California. The only, even like with snow and shit, you just go up to Big Bear for the weekend. And I think there's a couple other areas. I just know of Big Bear that's like SoCal's
Hmm.
mountain area for snow. That's why us Californians say we're gonna go to the snow because it's more of a destination.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I
Yeah.
love California. I think it's probably my favorite state if I had to choose a state, and it's because of that variety
Mm-hmm.
that you have.
We
You know,
do
even
get
I
a
mean, even
lot.
in one spot. You know, if you're in like in Palm Springs in the wintertime, from like
Mm-hmm.
whatever November on, you can be down in the desert and it's like 72 degrees. You're like, hey kids, let's go play in the snow, and you just drive over like 20 minutes from where our campground is to like one of those like cable car things.
Uh-huh.
I forget what it's called, and you just take the cable car thing up to the top of that mountain. The elevation's like 12,000 feet, and there's snow up there. You can just like play in the snow. The kids can play in the snow, and you just ride it on back down, and now it's 72 degrees again. There's not very many places that you can do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's we do have it made here. It is kind of
Yeah,
nice, and then we have the drifting year round. Uh,
yeah, lots of drifting. Like you said, you pay for it. You definitely
yeah.
pay for
Well,
it.
we just lost Adams Motorsport Park. Have you driven there when you were down here? I think
No,
you
I
did, right?
didn't. I thought about going there because that's pretty close to where we were staying.
Uh huh.
Out there in Palm Springs, it was kind of on the way, but we didn't end up going there. They're having an event, but it was the way the time worked. It was like in slots. You know, it's like what do you get, like 2 hours or something? I think you told me about it. You get like 2 hours at a time, or but it just there was such a short amount of time. It's such
It's
like an ordeal to show up with the RV and unload everything and get it set
Yeah,
up.
it is only 3 hours of driving. It is kind of
Yeah, it was
maybe
the amount of
four.
time just wasn't worth the amount of effort it takes to like get there and
Not
do
to
all
mention,
the things.
it's also um, like kind of expensive for
Oh,
what you're
really?
doing. Yeah,
How
it
much
can be
is it?
kind of it's the last time I went there, I want to say it was like $30 per session. So you're spending $90 to drive for 3.5 hours. Um, and it's usually a long line, so you probably are only getting about, depending on how busy it is that night, you know, it could be as little as like 10 laps,
Mm,
an hour. I mean, 30 laps is a lot, but sometimes it's been less too, when it gets real crowded on certain
yeah,
nights. So it just kind of depends.
that's not great, but it's not awful.
No, it's,
Yeah, it could be worse. But you said they're not doing it anymore.
yeah, that's what I assume,
No.
but we won't know until. No, the reason they're not doing it anymore is because something happened on Drift Week where somebody hit the fence, and they try to charge them like $1,500, or they gave them a $1,500 bill for
Mm.
like um, scuff marks.
On the fence?
Yeah,
Was it like
yeah.
a what kind of fence is it? Is it like a
It's nothing,
they
nothing
didn't
great.
replace it? That's kind of weird. That was
It was pretty. It
yeah.
was. There was a lot of drama behind it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, anywheres if you've like
Um,
really damaged something, you're gonna have to pay for it. But
yeah, absolutely.
they don't give you a hard time for like marking it up,
Yeah,
especially at a place that has drift events regularly. I
exactly.
highly doubt that was an unmarked fence.
Mm-hmm. So that's how they ended up getting like a bunch of hate. So it just didn't work out for them.
Oh wow. Oh, so they got boycotted. Oh, dude.
Yeah, man, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's not what you
Everybody was upset with them. But
it's crazy how that kind of stuff can go. You know, there was like some drama with a track over here in Georgia, of it changing ownership and stuff like that. It was like it's a big deal. It was a big deal if people wouldn't show up and stuff. It's like it gets interesting on how the feelings involved in it.
uh huh.
Even something like that, a $1,500, some seemingly ridiculous one, and everybody just kind of jumps in there on it. But in California, you know, it's like you have other options, so you can just not go there, and everybody can be
Yeah,
okay
we
with that.
definitely have so many freaking options here.
Yeah,
That's why I love it here. Um, but we'll see. But I think I'm gonna call it there, man.
it's good, dude. I hope your
Let's
dog didn't
see.
jump the fence.
Oh, he did. He jumped his fence about 45 minutes ago.
What? Like, where is he? Like loose in the neighborhood?
Yeah, he comes back. He's a husky. It's just what the fuck it. He's put it this way. I've been
That's the
looking at
thing
the
where they just
camera.
escape and come back.
I've been looking at the camera. He's came back to the house twice and left. Like he jumps the fence, he comes back, and then he'll go leave off. And then I have an air tag on him, so I gotta go walk up the street and go get him because I know he goes to my neighbor's house. And the reason we know these neighbors now, because it's not the house next door, it's the one after, is because they used to have a husky too, and they're like, our dog did the same fucking thing. I was like, good.
Okay.
I feel, I'm glad he's going to your house then. 'Cause
That's
he's like
funny.
yeah, he's a super good looking dog,
Yeah.
and we're afraid that someone's gonna take him and be like, oh, we're gonna try to keep him, and then they're gonna realize he has separation anxiety, and the minute they leave him, he's gonna fuck up their house. So we just don't want him getting into the wrong hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day I come home, something's on the floor that shouldn't be. Like, could be like fucking today the granola that was on the counter, it was on the floor. Yesterday it was
Some
like
vicious dog.
yeah, yesterday it was like my girlfriend's boot. Like it's always something different that's moved around the house.
That's funny.
You want to shout out any sponsors and all that fun stuff, and where can
Yeah,
people
man.
find you on the interwebs?
Yeah, dude. Tire Stacks for one. I mean, they've, like I said, they've putting up with me. They've helped me out a good bit, and they've put up with my crazy. Can you send these tires here and these
Yeah.
tires here, but then don't send them after this time because then I'm not going to be there and all that stuff. And they'll like try so hard to work around all of that.
Hmm.
We got Chase Bays. Chase Bays has helped me out with some of the new stuff on the car, like a Brake Master Delete and a few different lines and stuff like
Nice.
that. Uh, Advanced Auto Parts. They came in. They were actually like a big help, and they are awesome. You know, what I mean, it's cool to have like a big kind of like a parts store all over the country where you can get, even if it's something they don't stock, you can get it ordered ahead of time and everything. And they've
Oh,
been
really?
super
Nice.
supportive. Yeah, so if it's something you don't have, like I need an alternator,
Hmm.
and like nowhere really you can get it, but they don't stock it, you know. So I'm just like, well, I know I'm going to be like in this town in Ohio. There's an Advance here, and I can just either do it online or call and get it, and it's there waiting for me as I go through. And we just do our like Google Maps thing of like, well, here's an Advance next to a Walmart, so I can park in the Walmart and walk over there and get the part, change the part in the Walmart parking lot, and then keep it moving. So Advance has been awesome. Um, yeah, dude, that's it. My buddy, my buddy, and Emma, MR Auto Body in Gainesville, Georgia. He's painting my whole rear end on the car. I got like
Oh,
Big Duck Club, like the whole cut the butt off thing. He's painting all
nice.
that, so he deserves a shout out because he came out of nowhere and did all that for me. So he's a man. But yeah, dude, that's it. And then number one, my wife for putting up with my crap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Even you were like, oof, I
it,
don't know how she's done it.
yeah. Dude, I could just imagine like being a mom and like being on the road all the time. It seems like a lot. Like I'm trying to raise these kids. I'm trying to be a supportive wife. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm stuck on the road.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
get
I
it.
know you need to get your dog, but it's like been the biggest, one of the like the best things for our family
Uh-huh.
in the last 2 years, just because at least in my situation, I would always get, I just worked a lot, dude. You know, I was just around it, and I always get pulled in, especially like owning a small business where I'm like, we had like a great group of guys they were working it, but I still like, okay, well, let me go do this, or I can do this thing for this customer
Yeah,
too, or something. And I would just, my goal was always to get where I didn't work so much, but I always did,
yeah,
you know. So by like forcing it into, now we're in this RV and I'm on the other side of the country and taking me out of it, it kind of made us get the business to where I'm not gonna say it's self-sufficient because we still work on it a lot. We're not physically having to be there, and then
yeah,
having the time with the family, you know. And
yeah.
that's
That's
been a
good.
big thing on since we've been here in a house again. The kids are like, when are we getting out of here? Because now I'm having to work. Granted, I'm working on the car, but I'm working on my business too. And the kids are like, we want to go back because now that's when we're all together and we see daddy more. So it's
Nice.
like uh, it's been really great from that point. But there's
Gotcha.
definitely been some hard times that she's been the most supportive person
Yeah,
beyond reason, honestly. So
yeah.
number one, Elena May.
There you go, man. But Alrighty, man. Where can people find you on your social media if they want to?
Drifty by nature. What it is like naughty by nature. So with the Y, Drifty by nature. Instagram is what I'm mostly on,
Okay.
and got a YouTube channel as
Oh,
well.
you do?
Same thing.
Okay, sweet.
Drifty by nature. Yeah,
Awesome, man.
yeah. Dawson was doing did the editing on all those too. So we have a vlog going. It got a little bit more sparse now, but I'm about to put another one up, and then we'll go back to the almost
Maybe,
weekly vlog from there
maybe
on.
I'll bug him to be on my podcast so we can talk about all the things he actually does. He
You
doesn't
should,
always
yeah.
talk about it. Yeah, he seems like a super cool dude. I'll hit him up.
He is a cool guy. Yeah, just kind of like podcast mashup or something.
I've tried doing that before. I think it's just better to have him on this podcast because I know
Yeah.
his podcast requires you to be there in person.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so and
Yeah,
where's
so,
he
yeah.
where's he based out of?
Tennessee.
I'm not going to Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless I'm driving through, maybe. But alrighty, man. Thank you again for coming on. Appreciate it. Good to hear from you. Can't wait
Thank
to
you.
see you. I'll see you at Winter Jam then for sure.
Dude, I'll see you there.
I'm going
excited
to
to go
probably
back up.
order my tires today.
You should do it.
Yeah.
Get a couple of different sets. Try them out. Especially you're going to go practice for a few days. Get it and try them
I'm
out. See
thinking
what you like.
about it. I'm thinking of this trip is gonna be expensive because I need fronts too.
Yeah. And you're renting a car. I don't know how much that is, but they can be inexpensive.
It's not free. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. No.
That's the only one. It's the only number I can give is that it's not free. But
Yeah.
alrighty, man. I'll chit chat with you. You have a good one.
All right. See you, dude. Bye.
Bye.